Welcome to another edition. Keeping it orange and blue, and even after a close loss in Nittany, in Happy Valley for Penn State, State College. I'm really be honest, Kevin. I'm not really that down. I'm really not sitting here like thinking, oh man, like I don't really know how good we are this year. I'm not really don't like the direction of the program, and I don't like what I saw last night. I don't know. How are you feeling?
I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I'm upset that we didn't execute on a couple plays, but overall, we were in a game with the number 9 team in the country until the very end. A team I think is probably arguably the second best team in the conference at a night game, and we held them well under their season average yards. Granted, we should have. We were the best defense they've faced this year. We just didn't execute on a couple things, and you got to be perfect if you want to go in there and win the game. And I was going in there like this is a house money game. If we could stay within the number and compete, and we did. I think they were the better team. I think we lost to the better team, so therefore I'm cool with that. I'm much more okay with this loss than say the Indiana loss in 2022. The Wisconsin loss last year. There's just the Northwestern loss last year. This loss is fine. This is way better than the Purdue loss a year ago. 4-18 beats you 44-13, or the Nebraska loss. I mean, I could go on and on and on about way worse losses than this. This is fine. We maintained in the rankings. Here we are. So.
Exactly. Illinois still at number 24, inside the top 25 at number 24. I think much deserving. We're going to bring on a former player who we've had on before, who I'm excited to hear his insight on it. But the bottom line is Illinois was a 18-point underdog. They covered and pretty easily, I would say. I think there was a chance when Illinois in the fourth quarter had a chance to tie it twice, 14-7. We'll talk into some of the specifics of the game, but tons to be proud of for the Illini. And I think you could agree, Kev, the bye week came at a perfect time.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, this team needed a bye week in the worst way, so glad they got it.
With that said, let's bring on friend of the show, Riley O'Toole. What's up, Riley?
What's going on, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome back, man. We've been
my big
talking
homie
about it here a little bit.
Yes, yeah.
I'm glad to not stand next to you guys, man. Both of you don't even know what it's like to be 5'8", 5'9". 5'9" on a good day. That's how I look.
I know what it is like. I was just in 7th grade.
Yeah. True. So long ago. Kevin's been even longer since he remembers what it was like.
No, 7th, 8th grade about the same because I was almost 6'4" as a freshman. So.
Anywho,
no, I don't know if I've shared this on the story on the show before, but Riley and I met a few years ago. We did an Illinois game watch at a local establishment here in Oklahoma City. I was a big fan of Riley. I loved the way that he played the game. I just appreciated his toughness. That Northwestern win will go down in history for me. I just love that game. 100 yards rushing, 100 yards passing. It was just tough as nails. But so I meet Riley, and dude, I'm a big guy, and I meet this dude, and it's just we're about the same size, but just everything on this dude is bigger. It's that's what a Division I quarterback looks like, guys. I can't imagine. Ryan, you've been there sometimes when we went down shook hands with some of the offensive linemen. Dude, you ever stood next to Zy Chrysler? I mean, that dude is freaking ginormous. People just don't understand how big football players are. And I love it when they're that quarterback's a wimp. I mean, Luke Altmaier would whoop your freaking ass. Them dudes, you guys are tough. Just don't get it, man. They just do not get how big some of these fellas are, man.
Riley, the story about how your now wife met her parents for the first time, and it was number 4 is Maya.
Yeah.
They're oh, the guy's starting at quarterback. You're oh, what? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first time we wore those gray Ghost uniforms.
Was it Minnesota?
Yeah. So
D'Angelo Bentley fumble recovery touchdown game.
Yeah, that was a big win.
Yeah, we kind of hopped right on them, but I joke because they could have came to a lot of other games and wouldn't have been as cool to say that she was dating number 4. So,
worked out. Some of your keys your key takeaways from last night, or maybe just your impressions of what you saw. As Kevin and me talked a little bit about, it looked like, the Penn State defensive line and their O-line were really getting the better of Illinois' interior there. And the fact that Illinois was able to keep it so close, what would you attribute that to? I'm thinking I see a lot of toughness of guys that, just believe in what they're doing and think that they can win. What would you attribute some of that to?
Yeah, I think so. To your point, you could tell just from a ones-on-ones, they had some dudes, kind of their front seven were I thought noticeably more athletic, bigger, and then even their depth was pretty impressive to see. But just the fact that we were in it the whole game, they were kind of running down our throat a little bit, and kind of had a bent don't break defense all day, and offense we put some really good drives together, and kind of leaving the game pretty fired up for the rest of the season. I think if we got to this point, you told me we'd be 4-1 and pretty much took Penn State halfway through the fourth quarter, I'd be pretty fired up for the rest of the season, and that's exactly where I am right now. So I also, I guess, to more specifically answer your question, I think we're evidently very well coached and have some really good senior leaders, and we have some dudes of our own in key spots. I think they just had just a few more than we did, but the fact that we were in it till the end of the game, I think, is tells me that we can play with anyone in the Big Ten for sure.
And Kev, go ahead.
Yeah, Riley, what are your thoughts not only last night of Altmaier, but what you've seen from him this season? Being a signal caller yourself, obviously it's the most important position on the field. What are your takeaways so far through 5 games on what Nine's doing?
He's been awesome. I've been high on him. Not trying to toot my own horn, but I've loved him since he got here. Understanding last year, didn't have a ton of starts under his belt, and it showed in a few games last year. But I think experience is something that you just get quite literally with playing ball, and I think him having the second year in Lunny's offense, I think Lunny and him have seems like they have a pretty good relationship, and I think he's been lights out. Obviously threw an interception last night, but fourth down you have to throw it. Nothing grinds my gears when it's like fourth down or like you're going for 2 and the quarterback gets sacked, right? So maybe went to the well to the slant one too many times, but he's been lights out. He's been awesome. I think he can.
That slant was working. The slant was working all night, though.
He had it to Dixon, but there's
that's what I was going to say. I thought Dixon was the read there, but when you're under constant duress there, like your mind starts to speed up, right? Like it's hard to process. He got sacked 7 times.
Yeah, well, and especially that last drive too. He was running around trying to make things happen. Things are moving him up like 10 times faster than usual because you're kind of competing against the clock. And honestly, it was a really good defensive call and defensive play. That DB, he got his hands on Dixon, and by all accounts, Luke probably thought he was going to run with him, and then he just peeled off and he threw right to him. But anyways, I think you can just tell he's so much more confident. Just the way he sits in the pocket, gets the ball out of his hands quickly. And, when we get the RPO game going, I think our offense is pretty awesome. So he's been great. Hopefully we can keep him healthy and keep him upright for the rest of the year.
11 touchdowns and 1 interception through 5 games. I think most teams would take that with their quarterback, right?
Sounds like everyone in the Big Ten would.
Yeah, and he was still efficient. He threw for 185 yards last night, and there was There was a ball that the Pat Bryant on that sideline. I think Pat stopped a yard or two early, and he tried to jump and high point that ball, and that was a good ball, man, from Luke.
Yeah, I mean, after that was incomplete, I just thought to myself, it was like, it's kind of weird to sit here and be surprised that we didn't complete, that he and Pat didn't complete that, just the way the season's been going. It's been just a great connection that they've had, and Zakari's been awesome, and Luke's been awesome, and I've been, fired up kind of with all three phases, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'll be honest too, I was surprised Alano missed the kick, Kev. I think maybe that whole last part there when they got to the goal line was just so discombobulated. Would you take that into account, Kevin, for the the loud environment and the noise, all that? Do you think it just rattled the guys?
I think it has to contribute to it some. I mean, I think that as a kicker, especially as a young kicker, it's probably a little bit more challenging for you. I think David Alano, by the time he's a senior, I don't think that bothers him a bit. But I mean, this is his, he kicked a field goal at Nebraska, but I mean, this is 47 yards. I mean, that was considerable distance. He's definitely got the leg for it. He just pulled it a little bit. And it really felt like one of those quicksand situations where we got all the way down there, and then everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And we took advantage of some penalties on that drive, and Fagan was running the ball better, and just that the fumbled snap, and just it all went downhill from there. And that's just a game. That's a game-changing series there, because you find a way to punch that in, or at least get a field goal. You go into half with the lead. It's a huge change of momentum there. I mean, and it just was really. We talked about this in the preparation for the show. When you go on the road against the number 9 team in the country, 110,000 screaming fans in white, you can't do those little bobbled, fumbled snaps, bad snaps, penalties. That's the thing that you just can't have, right? You're going to have the other stuff that goes on. You're going to have the blown assignments, right? You're going to have the drop passes, but it's the other little things that just cannot happen. And for it to all happen in that same section of plays, the intentional grounding, the fumbled snap, the false start, we go from needing a 20-yard field goal to a 47-yard field goal, and frankly, it changed the game, in my opinion. Riley, you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just thinking ahead, you go up 14-7, is Penn State's offensive play calling slightly different, or are they trying to throw the ball more? Because by the end of the game, they were just wearing us down, and we were kind of getting 5 yards a pop with their 2 stud running backs. And, maybe their play calling is a little bit different. They're trying to do some more passing, and our defense can get off the field. And it just seemed like, it was just a huge momentum crusher. But, it was great to see. And I know we were talking prior to the show, like I would think years past, like something like that happens and the game really goes south. I've been involved in many games where we're right there at halftime, and then something happens right before half. They go down and score in 30 seconds or something like that, and then we lose by 30, 35. So kudos to the coaches for getting everyone's kind of head in the right direction at halftime. And I'm sure everyone was down because you're right there and you think you're about to take a lead in that great environment. But, it was great to see them bounce back and battle time after time and be there pretty much all the way halfway through the fourth quarter.
And Penn State got the ball to start the second half. And one thing that stuck out to me was they milked the clock for 6+ minutes and scored a touchdown, right? And I'm thinking, well, that's it. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, You can just tell, here it is, right? That wasn't the case.
Yep.
I was so pleasantly surprised. They got that 4th down stop on the next drive, and where Franklin just didn't want to kick, and then you're thinking, okay, well they drive back down the next time, force a field goal, and not an easy one, a 42-yarder. He missed it. You get a chance to tie it up early in the fourth quarter. No, it didn't happen. They go down and force another field goal. It just never got to where Penn State could just get away.
Yeah, they didn't put the game on cruise control until the very, very end when they're in victory formation, right? And it was so clear, like, hey, listen, man, I did some research on this. There's like 54 stars on that roster, right? We have what, 5, 6? You know, I mean, it's just a complete. And now, granted, the portal does change things. Like J.C. Davis would be considered a 4-star transfer portal guy, whatever. But I'm talking about
probably, yeah,
pure recruiting wise, pure high school recruiting wise. They have the 13th best class in the nation by average over the last 6 years, and they're a better team from a physical standpoint than us. I mean, you go back to the Katron Allen run when him and Matt Bailey met heads up, and dude, Allen stunned Bailey. I don't know. There aren't too many running backs in the country that are going to stun Matt Bailey like that. Like, I watched Matt Bailey rock Dowdell from Nebraska last week, stood him up. So they're just a really good physical football team. I think they've got a really good chance. I think this is a college football playoff team. And here's the thing coming out of this. So we got beat by a better team. None of Illinois' goals for this season are dead. No. Even the loftiest of lofty goals are not dead. This team can still make the Big Ten playoff. I mean, the college football playoff. They could make the Big Ten championship game. I don't foresee that happening. I think there's a lot of other teams that are going to catch breaks with schedules. Indiana, Iowa, Rutgers.
I was about to, but you know what? We have something to say against Rutgers, though.
We will, absolutely. I don't like that we're playing there. That's a good, tough, physical football team.
Mm-hmm.
It is, but I don't think they're better than Penn State.
No chance.
So, but Indiana, man, we're going to get Indiana's ranked. I'm happy for them, but man, some of the fan base I've seen what they're saying. If Illinois had, here's the thing: if Indiana had Illinois' schedule, would they be 5-0?
Yeah, I think so.
You think Indiana'd be 5-0 if Indiana had Illinois' schedule?
No, I don't think that.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Riley, I have a question for a player. Like, how, and this is kind of twofold, right? How important is this bye week to get your body right? And then does coming off a loss, is this a negative factor for them, or is it like let's get right? And now it seems like Purdue becomes more of a budding rivalry with Walters leaving and Reggie Love hopping ship and Kevin Kane and all the other folks that have left Illinois. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it came at a perfect time. You know, you get through the grind of the non-conference. You know, I would hope feeling pretty good about being 4-1 at this point. You know, and to kind of get up for the toughest part of our season, these next few games. So, you know, hopefully go into Purdue and take care of business. And but yeah, I mean, I think Purdue with all the familiar faces, with the kind of things that are going on in West Lafayette right now, I think it's a good opportunity for us to make a statement. And I would imagine the guys are feeling good and hopefully a little ticked off because they had multiple opportunities to really take that game last night. And which, you know, the fact that we had multiple opportunities to take a game at a top 10 team in one of the best environments in the country is pretty cool to say. So hopefully they regroup. And as Bielema said, we've, knock on wood, stayed healthy up to this point. So the bumps and bruises, get your body feeling good, and hopefully come out in a couple of weeks firing on all cylinders.
Does the loss linger with the bye week happening before the bye week at all, or? I
don't think so, because they'll have a free weekend. You know, they're probably not in the facility as much these next few days, so you kind of get away, regroup, re-energize, and obviously watch the film, learn from it, and hopefully take that sour taste in their mouths to kind of put that into the meat of our schedule.
How much of this week coming up right now are they spending on treatment, therapy, getting physically? Is that the priority this week on a bye week?
Yeah, no doubt. Probably a lot of coaching up. Maybe even things that have happened in the last few weeks that they could spend a little bit more time on, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And and just kind of correct everything, and once you watch the tape and you correct it and you get all on the same page, there is a little bit of confidence in there. Like, yeah, that was one bonehead mistake by just thinking of O-line. All it takes is one person to slip or to take a wrong step for a play to not work. So the whole O-line really needs to kind of move in unison, and same with the D-line. If you take a wrong step and you get pulled out of your gap, that could be a chunk play. So get everyone on the same page, get the confidence back, get the spirits up, and get ready to rock.
Coming off 2 back-to-back physical, I don't think a team this year is going to have a tougher 2-game stretch on the road than going at Memorial Stadium in Nebraska, which, Riley, you know how loud and nasty that can be. And then going to Happy Valley, which probably is the loudest environment. And by the way, both of these defenses they played were just physical, tough, nasty groups. And, in perfect unison, like a step above, right? The Huskers have a good D this year. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And they play tough ball. They're a quality team this year. And then you go to a notch above here where you're playing a very good, great type of team who, again, and showing the team back-to-back weeks, tough physical. I know Miles Scott probably is feeling some of those Katron Allen tackles last night, where he was the one being tackled. And even Drew Aller a couple times put the hit stick on some guys. And, I think Dylan Rosiak, you could see he was probably – and yeah, nice comment there too. How about Carson Goda getting in the game and catching a touchdown?
I'm just happy that Lonnie's utilizing the tight ends. It seems like more this season. And Goda is probably the best receiving threat that we have. And I really like that we're getting that in. So it's a good place to be. Hey, and just a little like anecdotal stuff, Riley. What was like your least favorite bye-week therapy physical trainer stuff that you had to do? Like, are you a big fan of the cold tub? Hated the cold tub? What was like? What you like? Oh shit, I got this on the schedule today.
Yeah, just trying to cycle through the injuries.
Well, now cold tubs are in now, like, right? You got to do your cold tub, right?
Yeah, they weren't in when I was there, so I did not like those. Probably the most annoying thing, annoying things are when you sprain your ankle, they make you like no sock, whatever. You pour a bunch of marbles on
the marble drill,
and pick them up, put it in the cup. That's just annoying and tedious. But I sprained my AC joint, and they had this little finger ladder on the wall, goes to probably like 8 feet tall, and you climb with your fingers up. The AC sprain, your range of motion's not quite there. So, and like from the outside looking in, they're like, that looks like the dumbest exercise in the world, but it's like extremely painful. And anyways, probably those 2 things for sure.
Did you do that on your throwing shoulder?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
By the way, since we're talking about it, and I mean, I don't think it's going to matter really anymore to you. And if you don't want to answer, that's fine, Riley. But when you played, you went through plenty of injuries at Illinois. In your time there, did you ever hear or see Tim Beckman kind of questioning you if you were injured for real, and if you could have played, and if you really should have played? Wow.
Simon Stefanovic question. Okay,
I'm just asking because he played with the guys. You played with him. He was your coach. I'm just curious.
I mean, I have always been on Beckman's side, whether you think he's a good coach or not. And then I was a GA for a year as well, so I got to see their side of the lens as well. And there's totally guys that milk injuries, or so it's a tough position to be in, especially when a lot of times there's key players that for whatever reason may not want to play through a certain amount of pain, so yeah. Especially injuries that are kind of some of those that like can't really get worse. It is what it is. It's kind of a pain tolerance thing. So I never heard him say that, but you never know what happens behind closed doors, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't – the guy's been fired for years. I was just curious if a guy who played for the guy and who you were teammates with Simon. Yeah, but I'm wondering, was it really that bad of an environment?
I think it's just a societal change in people's outlooks on things, dude. I remember being questioned about injuries as a freshman in football, freshman football in high school. Like, I mean, you go watch the movie The Program. It's like, are you hurt or are you injured? Well, what's the difference? Injured, you can't play. Hurt, you can tough it out. And dude, I'm sorry, Riley can attest this more than anybody. Everybody other than the punter and the place kicker is hurt right now. And even those guys are probably dealing with some nagging shit, right? You go throw your leg up in the air as often as those guys do, man. Stuff gets sore. It starts to hurt. Everybody's hurt. And I think it's just a changing landscape or mindset about, like, dude, when you start asking somebody, like, dude, are you hurt or you're injured? It's a very real question in football circles. And I don't.
And that's last thing I'll say about that is, you read the articles and the people that came out, and Simon's really the only one that played significant amount of snaps. So it's, are people coming out of the woodwork because they're upset about playing time or things didn't go their way? That's another thing, is a lot of people that came out and were extremely vocal didn't play much. There weren't a ton of guys that got a lot of playing time that were heavy contributors that were saying much, and so societal aspect.
Yeah, and that's just something I've never really gotten to know of. But I mean, the man got let go for it, so I mean,
well, he's never had another job, so they ruined his life, professional career essentially.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest with you. To be honest, and I'm sure that bothers you some. It should bother everybody, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like, it doesn't matter if you like the guy or not. Like, I can tell you this: while he may have been goofy, I mean, they did win more games every year he coached. So I'm just going to keep it at that. So it wasn't like he was just a trash ass coach.
I met him a couple times. I thought Bex was a pretty cool guy. Like, I mean, I went and saw an Urbana football game. His kid was playing there when I was home, and he was just really, really generous with his time, which kind of surprised me. You're the head coach of Illinois, and you're at a high school football game. The last thing you want is my fanboy ass showing up and asking you. Like, I don't really ask those guys a lot of questions. I just was talking to him, and he was more than willing. How much
eligibility you have left?
Yeah. You don't need another holder, man. Like, that's about the only thing. I don't even think I can do that.
He is a great guy. So anyways.
Yeah.
Well, but Ryan, it's
press conferences. Anyway, go ahead, Kev.
Ryan, Riley, you both agree here. Like, and Riley, you and I are in sales. Like, if Beckman was 10-2 when that happened, like, he wasn't getting fired, dude. Like, I'm just telling you, dude. I work in sales. High water hides all stumps. Your reports suck. They're not in on time. But you're the number 1, number 2 sales guy in the company. Okay, we look past it. But the fact of the matter is that we were getting to that consistent level, like you're saying, Ryan, of that 500 level team, which we were trying to be. And it's like you said, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Going forward here now, like, we got to think about expectations now of this team. Does this change your thoughts on where this team can go this year after last night?
Honestly, I feel like we can win the rest of the games on the schedule. Obviously at Oregon be tough, but they've showed that they're human. I wouldn't say they've necessarily played their best football yet. But it just tells me we can play with anyone on our schedule for the rest of the year. And, would not surprise me. I don't expect it, but would not surprise me that, I'm sure we'll drop a couple here, but if we can beat everyone on the schedule for the rest of the year. So my expectations have not changed. If anything, they've probably heightened, just for how we played for 3.5 quarters.
Yeah. And you can hop your happy butt in the car and drive over from Kansas City to Champaign on October 19th and come hang out at our tailgate.
I was gonna say, are you planning on coming to any games this
year? I went to Kansas.
Okay.
Well, we got a 5-month-old at home, so I kind of used my Champaign tokens already.
Fair enough, my friend.
And a 2.5-year-old. So
you went to a hell of a game, man. That was good.
Yeah. I came with my whole family went to Kansas, so I came up with a Kansas Caravan. So
did you sit in the Kansas area?
I sat in the Kansas athletic director's suite.
How loud were you?
I only got loud on the Xavier Scott pick six before half, but tried to.
Yeah, that's one you can't control your emotions on that one, right?
Yeah. So, and then for the rest of the game, I stood in the back and then would run over to Whitman's suite and celebrate with my people.
That is so good, man. You had this. I bet Josh Whitman was like,
yeah.
I felt
he wasn't. He was in there for like one of the times I went over there. He's got to.
Yeah, he's gonna be down on the sideline. He was down there ready to celebrate.
Yeah, well, he just got to get FaceTime with so many people too.
It was funny. It was not quite the same, but somewhat similar for me at the Nebraska game last week. In that, I'm there with a very good friend of mine who's like the nicest dude in the world, huge Nebraska fan, got gifted tickets from some Nebraska folks, and I am in the sea of red, dude. And there's not, the only orange close to me are the players on the field. And I had to like contain my like going nuts, being super hype, just kind of out of respect. Also, I mean, Nebraska fans were so kind and so nice. I just didn't want to be the ass rubbing it in. But it's just, I
mean, just think of how annoying it is, like at Illinois games, if there's one fan in the section and they're clearly being obnoxious. But like, yeah, I don't care if you cheer, like you should cheer, but like, don't turn around and spill your beer in my face.
Yes. Yeah. I wish I just had that one fan I could have high-fived, near me. That one guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So going forward, I think Riley agrees that I think everything's there. I'm going to say this, though. If we set the goal to be the college football playoff, I think that, to me, we could be disappointing. But I think to get to 8 or 9 wins is very realistic. I think. Yeah,
I mean, we'll probably drop a game, that
maybe we think we're going to win.
Right, like maybe like that Rutgers. It's going to be a tough game. They're a hard-nosed football team. Obviously, a lot can happen between now and then, but like that's a game where I wouldn't.
But if you pick up that Michigan win, the Rutgers game is just cherry on top. It's just icing. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and then we'll probably
get Northwestern at Wrigley, slap them around a little bit.
Yeah, I'll need to do that. So
I'd be okay with that. I think that'd be a good year. I think that sets you up for a January bowl game. I don't think anybody complaining about that. But yes, the goal is still there to get to the college football playoff, which is awesome. And they're getting big prime time. One thing that I think that'll hurt teams like Indiana is that they really don't have any super marquee games other than they have
Nebraska coming up. I know that's pretty soon.
They have Nebraska at home, which is going to be big for them. But they also have Michigan coming to town. But how good will Michigan be at that point? Because then they go to Illinois first before that. And they also have to go to Washington the week before that. So they may have 3 losses by then. We'll see. But then they have to go at Ohio State. So if they've got a loss before then and then Ohio State just beats them 55-7 or something like that, that's not a good look. So thankfully, Illinois doesn't have an Ohio State on the schedule, but they've went through, you got at Nebraska, you go at Penn State, you're going to have Michigan on the schedule, you're going to have at Oregon. Like Illinois is going to be a tested team where you can't look at their strength of schedule and say that's a flaw. Like their strength of schedule is going to be I think top 20, top 25 strength of schedule.
It's one of those things. If Illinois can somehow find a way to, like, let's say we lose at Oregon, find a way to beat Michigan and run it clean at the end of the year, Ryan, what you're saying, that's one of those things that because of Illinois' strength of schedule would be a differentiator. Illinois at 10-2 is going to look a lot better than Indiana at 10-2. Yep. Even Iowa at 10-2. It's going to be a differentiator of like who could potentially be a third or fourth Big Ten team.
And winning at Rutgers that late in the year too would be huge because Rutgers could easily be 9-1 or 8-2 at that point. So
it also depends how our wins do for the rest of the year. It hasn't helped that Kansas has dropped a few.
Kansas just show up, man. Like you can't win one close game.
it's
They
tough
just
to
lost
watch.
to TCU too, didn't they? They lose to
Yeah.
TCU?
But even like Penn State, like if they can run the table and be 11-1, 10-2, you know, like
Yep.
that
And
would help.
Nebraska keep winning is good.
Right. Yeah. Nebraska is the key. So need some of these teams to continue to play well.
Yep, 100%. Now I'm trying to think with not tons going on with, I mean, recruiting wise. I know the staff right now is going. This is huge. So with these bye weeks, Riley, you know, the coaching staff, they pretty much for that 1 week, don't they focus usually on hitting the road like Bielema and I know I saw Coach Stepp today and Lundy and all them. They're basically going recruiting for the next 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So basically, the players is it basically a lot of strength stuff this week coming up? Okay.
Yep.
So go ahead. The coach, basically, I'll let you finish, but the coaches basically don't do much with them for this bye week, and they just work out and try to get healthy for a week. Is that usually how it works?
Yeah, I would. I mean, it's been crazy how long it's been since I've been doing it, but
A decade, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Easy.
I
would. They might be off. Like obviously they'll have workouts and probably get some conditioning in, get that, you know, because mid-season you're not doing a ton of conditioning. But probably like Thursday, Friday they'll throw the pads on and do some light practices. Start planning for Purdue. Get a couple days head start. Obviously the coaches are watching film and all that stuff while they're on the road, but from a kid's perspective, yeah, it's all training room, strength staff, study hall for the next few days.
Are any of your former teammates still in the league? Is Jihad? Were you on with Jihad Ward?
Yeah.
Was your teammate?
Yeah, Vikings.
Yeah. Nick,
Algretti's.
your boy Nick.
They're just crushing it with the Commanders. Justin Hardy is.
Is he on a team?
I was talking to him today. Yeah, he was in Cleveland. I'm surprised that he's on the practice squad. I want to say somewhere out east.
Someone's not utilizing him. I know that.
That dude's
Yeah,
a great
I mean, at this point, he's probably just too expensive.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he was all pro.
Yeah.
Teddy Karras.
Yeah, Teddy Karras on the Bengals. He's blocking for Mr. Chase Brown, who got 2 touchdowns today.
Yeah.
That's so good. And you and Nick are tight, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I was a senior his freshman year, but he is tight with Mikey Dudek and Chase Crouch. So
yeah,
by osmosis, I was tight with Nicky because Chase and Mikey were definitely my closest buddies from that class for sure.
Yeah, when I got to talk to Chase on that flight where I ran into him in Palm Springs, which was awesome. He raved about that Allegretti. Not only Nick, but his dad. He says it's awesome.
Yeah, just the family. Their family. Just there's nobody better than the Allegretti family. Just great people.
And Matt, he's been rewarded amazingly, right? 2 rings with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, catching touchdowns. And now
I think he might have got 3. I think he might have been there for all 3.
Oh, all 3? Okay. I thought he left on the one last year. I didn't know he was on the Chiefs side.
Literally had twins the morning of the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl. I'm just like, have a day, my guy. So
and now he's on the Commanders, who look like they got it rolling, you know?
Yeah, if he's starting, he's a captain. You know, those are the guys that you're just, you know, it's good things happen to good people. So it's great to see him doing so well.
Yeah, and Jihad Ward, like Ryan said, I mean, he's carved out a nice little decade-long NFL career.
Yeah.
He signs one-year deals. He signs one-year deals with somebody.
I mean, he's just always been productive, but I just feel he's a guy, like, even when he was at Illinois, like, he just got better every week because he was just so raw, like a JUCO guy, but, I mean, he's a free. He's like 6'7", like 275, but, like, cut up. So he just coach him up and let him get better, and he just continues to get better, continues to produce, and
that was I forget. I don't want to say I forgot his name. He was our coach for a year. Who's the OC from Western Michigan? Who was your coach? Bill Cubitt guy. Yeah, he was a Bill Cubitt recruit. That's right. Because his story, I remember listening to Bill Cubitt talk about it. Like, how this dude's work ethic was crazy. Like he would walk like 3 miles to school and all this crazy stuff and just train, and he didn't have a ride. And Bill Cubitt, like someone he knew, the guy he knew was like, said, there's this giant guy that just like walks
from Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, he just like walks every day, and he's just like massive. And I mean, he's just agile. He's like, this guy would be a guy I think you should get on. And then he got him to campus, and then we saw everything that he was capable of. So that's good.
Riley, 52, Pat Farrell. He's a Wheaton kid. He go to the same school as you?
I don't think Pat is. I think Pat Farrell's St. Rita, but who's 43?
Joey Barna.
Joey Barna at Wheaton North.
That's right. I got confused. I ran into the Barnas and the Farrells at Nebraska. That's right.
Yeah. So unfortunately, he's a Wheaton North guy. So keep him arm's length away. But still proud to have the 630 brotherhood representing the Illini and Champaign. So I was so close to. Speaking of, as we were touching on earlier, how big these dudes are at the Kansas game. I was. Like being a former player, you can go down pretty much on the field till kick. So we're down there, and like Gabe Akis, just a behemoth. I mean, even Fagan is just
yeah.
But Barno was right there, and I was about to do the Wheaton shout out thing, but I was like, he's got a game to prepare for. So.
But, is that a thing? I don't know that. Is that a Wheaton thing where you shout out the area code and everybody knows it or something?
No. in my inner circle, yeah. I mean, 630 is just the west suburb of Chicago area code. So
that kid's been impressive. I'm shocked for a true freshman to be able to hold the point of attack the way.
Yeah. Well, and Gabe Akis is high on him too. He reminds me of me, and I'm like, if we can get another one of you, he has lived up to what my expectations and exceeded him. His motor's been awesome. He's been great. It's just great to see because I'm sure he was a little disappointed about last year just because the expectations were so high.
Sure. Yeah. Coming off a freshman,
we can get one more year out of him. I know they were talking about him last night, giving him love on NBC. Like, hey, this is an NFL guy. Hopefully they can keep him one more year. I think one more year he could really push his draft stock, through the roof. I think he's going to be a guy that can get drafted at the end of this year, but would it be where it could be? I don't know. But I know that Brett's been saying that Gabe's been getting attention since his freshman year from scouts. So
yeah.
Like,
well, he's 270. He's 270 pounds in the way that he moves. I mean, it's like he's 270 pounds at 6'4". I mean, he in the just pure physical ability and the flexibility that he has. I think that NFL scouts are going to look at him and say, this guy is a guy we could flex into a defensive end in a 3-4 package, or he can be a little bit outside linebacker. He is playing some in coverage. Or if I'm in a 4-3, he can be just a pure defensive end. So the flexibility of where he can be drafted will probably allow him to go up draft boards. I don't think we're going to get another day out of him after the 12th game of this season unless we're in the college football playoff line. So,
well, that's sad. But thankfully, there are
guys getting drafted at Illinois is good.
No, it's sad that it would be meaning like we wouldn't get to see him in a bowl game. But that's fine.
We just want to see him in a bowl game called the Super Bowl.
We get a couple of these comments here because we're just ignoring them.
Sure.
Check it. Sean Garner has to have my attention. Yes, I know. The Commanders are leading over my Cowboys. I know. The Commanders whooped up on the Cardinals, and Jaden Daniels is a superstar. Yeah, he's looking like it right now. Purdue's in shambles. We can start preparing for Michigan. That's not a good attitude to have.
Can't do that, can you, Riley? Can't do that, can you?
Can't do that.
Oh, no.
They got 85 guys on scholarship, man. They got 85, right?
Well, and they just whooped us last year. Like,
yeah, the 4-8 team whooped the dog piss out of us.
Right. So, but yeah, I saw, you get the algorithms on Twitter or whatever, X, and so I'm seeing a lot of Purdue stuff right now, and it's like, I mean, you know how it has to happen. Someone has to get fired when you get off to such a brutal start like they have, but they're like, Purdue's defense has generated 0 turnovers, and they've given up 340 rushing yards the last 2 weeks. But yeah, let's go ahead and fire the offensive coordinator. It's like,
I don't know if that you saw my tweet. I tweeted the part about the 340. I didn't know about they've created no turnovers though.
yeah.
But I love how Ryan.
of course, but then also like it's also X. Like I didn't fact check, so
yeah.
But yeah, I probably saw your tweet about the 340.
Did they fire their OC?
They fired Graham Harrell, dude.
They fired
Graham
Harrell.
Harrell.
Okay.
They fired him like 3 hours ago, and so I got on Tom Diener, who is a friend of the show, who's came on, and I said, "Well, that's a good thing that the defense hasn't given up 900 yards this year, because, I mean, the defense hasn't given up 900 rushing yards this year, since it's all on Graham Harrell, the OC. You know, like let's see, 66 points they gave up to Notre Dame, 38 to Oregon State, who had 340 yards rushing.
Can't throw. Oregon State cannot throw.
And that's what I'm saying. They knew it was coming, but still couldn't do anything about it. And I get they scored 10 points on Nebraska, but I'll tell you this. I watched that Purdue-Nebraska
Well, they scored a touchdown with 3 minutes to go in the game. I mean, it was garbage time, pure garbage time.
But I mean, also, Nebraska should have had 45 at the worst. Like, they had a touchdown taken away on a phantom offensive pass interference. They missed 2 or 3 field goals. You know, it was just they were like living in Purdue's red zone and barely came away with anything in that first half. So I'm thinking, how is this all on the Graham Harrell, though? Like, to me, it's somebody had to be the scapegoat, like you said, Riley, but there's so much wrong.
So much has to be something.
One of the things that it shocked me to hear this is I'm a big fan of Eyes on Big Ten podcast. I think Jeffrey the Greek is a great follow on Twitter. It seems like a really good dude. He used to do it with Big Kurt, who was an Illinois fan, which was really pretty cool. So it was an Iowa fan, the Illinois fan. That's how it became.
He quit doing it with Big Kurt?
Big Kurt's not doing it anymore, but Big Kurt's got too much stuff going on. Couldn't, like, from a personal standpoint, couldn't do it. So now he's got a Michigan fan that's on there. They said on their show last week, they're like, hey, Purdue's defense is in shambles and Illinois' defense is on the climb. Was Ryan Walters the smart man and the architect behind it, or was it Aaron Henry? And I kind of caught those warm feelings inside because you guys know I love Aaron. Like, that's my dude. I think it was a little unfair to Ryan Walters. I think Ryan Walters is a really good coach, but I think, man, there's a reason you don't see a lot of guys go from coordinator to their first big job, their first head coaching job at the P4 level. Now the P4 level, which was the P5 level, which was the P6 level, right? It just doesn't happen all that often. I'm actually really impressed that Marcus Freeman has done as well as he's done at Notre Dame. There's just few guys that do that. Kirby Smart, Lincoln Riley, to name a couple, but a lot of them don't. I mean, you just don't see that very often. Hey, speaking of which, Riley, I sent you a text last weekend. I wrote an article.
Did I reply?
No, yes, you did. I wrote an article on 200 columns earlier this week about how, like, having a good quarterback is key to Illinois' successful seasons. And one of the guys I highlighted is your dear friend Nathan Scheelhaase, passing game coordinator for the LA Rams. That's pretty cool. How's Nate doing? You would give us an update on that guy?
Yeah, he's doing great. I went out to Beverly Hills for Jahab Ward's wedding in May or March. A few months ago. And so it was actually just a few months after Nate had moved out there. So I went up to north side of LA, can't remember, Thousand Oaks, where Nate and his awesome wife Morgan live, and 2 great kids, and got to see their house, got to see the new digs and spend the night with them. And they just seem to be over the moon. I think just from a schedule standpoint, like Morgan was saying, granted it was the off season, but Morgan was just like, Nate's home for dinner every single night, can take the kids to school. And so I think they're just really excited about being in the NFL from a opportunity standpoint, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for Nate to do some great things. But just from a schedule standpoint, I think their lives have just gotten so much better. Besides living in California where everything's twice as expensive.
And I know we don't talk about it a lot on here, but you are a man of faith. I know Nate is. That's huge, and Kevin is as well as I. So I'm just happy to hear that. And I know the family's so huge to you. I know that sucks though when you're probably a guy on the college staff is gone so much recruiting, that he probably can't spend tons of time with his kids. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of the main reason why. I got my degree in sports management, and Cuba asked me to come back as a GA, and I kind of had already determined from spending so much time with the coaches and having three staffs in my 4 years that one, job security and time away from home is significant, and so was kind of took the GA job just because it was a great opportunity at my alma mater. Couldn't pass that up, but um, kind of made the decision, and because I didn't want to start down that path and then jump ship. Kind of wanted to, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all in. So it's a tough industry, but you really can have a great impact on people's lives, and certainly coaches have throughout my life. And I know that's why because Nate was a pastor right out of college, and that's why he went into coaching, is for that exact reason, to impact student athletes' lives, and nobody better than him. So fired up to see him climb the NFL ranks, and be eager to see if he comes back to the college level or not. But just a great opportunity for him to join probably arguably top three coaching tree in the NFL.
I mean, I know that it's kind of weird that Iowa State has diverged into this like really, really good defensive ball control team, because I think Matt Campbell really is a great offensive mind. I mean, he led some great offenses at Toledo, and that's how he got the job there. He's now Iowa State's all-time winningest coach, by the way. Kind of crazy to think about.
Crazy.
So like Nate, with his pedigree of getting to work with Matt Campbell and then moving on to working with McVay is just incredible for him. Now, was that he wasn't let go at Iowa State? That was a choice, correct?
Yeah, it was a choice. I think he had. He's just a guy that just likes to be as educated as possible. So I think he's had some conversations. He's got relationships at every level, right? So guys that he played with or grew up with, or just built relationships with that are in the NFL, and he just does a really good job of kind of keeping his network strong. And if he trusts you, he definitely trusts you, and he definitely has a circle of guys in the NFL he can lean on, and so clearly he was having conversations, and with all the NIL stuff, how the college landscape's moving, sounds like he did it at a perfect time.
Yeah. Do you think this is a professional move? That's something to stay for him, or do you think, as an Illinois fan, I was interested in him coming here being our offensive coordinator when Bielema took the job, and obviously it didn't happen. And Tony Peterson, and you can say whatever. And I think Barry Lundy Jr.'s had the pleasure of meeting the guy, and first-class dude, and I'm pulling for him. But do you think that Nate wants to get back in the college ranks, or do you think he wants to see where his life can ascend in the NFL side?
Yeah, I think he's just kind of a pedal to the metal where he's at, so he's going to run it hard and see where it takes him, but he'll just do whatever's best for him and his family, and clearly was called to make the jump to the NFL, and I think they're really enjoying it. I think he's learning a lot, we'll see. Selfishly, I want him to come back to Kansas City and coach a high school here so I can send my kids to play for him.
Right, because he's from Kansas, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's he's my opinion, bar none, without question, the most underappreciated quarterback in Illinois history. When you look at
I think he's the greatest of all time.
Yeah, he's the all-time yards leader. I think he's number one in career completion percentage. He's he had the highest completion percentage season. Like, he is just all over the record books, and it's just
the only reason I think people don't feel like that, most people, is just because
we didn't get like a Sugar Bowl or a Rose Bowl, or
how his career ended, which wasn't his fault.
He's the only quarterback in school history to win 2 bowl games.
Yeah, and the first year, his last year with Beckman was just a terrible year. It wasn't like that was just because of him.
Hey, stop it, man. Number 4 was playing back then.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
trying to.
he was trying. I was about to say he wanted Nate's
Well,
job.
that was his best. That was his.
That was his completion
best year.
percentage. Completion percentage record setting year. The defense probably let him down that year.
But I'm saying
well,
is
we just-
people
we
don't
just-
look at that and say, "Oh, that was Nate's best completion percentage year." They're going to say, "What was our record that year?"
Yeah,
You know?
no, and then his junior year we were 2-10. You know that. I mean, if I was a fan, would put a sour taste in my mouth. But that was just, it was just a tough year. And year before is the 6-0 and 6 year, and you lose six straight games, and then go to 2-10 year. That's a pretty tough feat. But he bounced back and had his best year. His senior year was actually throwing the heck out of the ball. And
It really was. It really was. Yeah.
Shout out
when
Steve.
When was the Penn State game where against Paterno when he should have got the late hit?
11.
Yeah. The 2-10 year?
No, that was 6 and 6.
That was 6 and 6. Yeah.
That was the terrible Justin Green pass interference.
Yes, and
the point off
targeting / late hit on Nate, which was head to head, which now
Dimke hit the upright.
Dimke going, which I was like, we got this, baby. Oh
yeah. Dimke was a good kicker, but they were throwing snowballs at him as he would line up because of snowing. Anyway.
You guys win that game. I think Zook still was Zook doesn't lose his job, so
possible.
Yeah.
No, actually, we win that game. Zook's not losing because you guys would have found a way to win the next one. I mean, momentum's contagious. Hey, Riley, we do a thing on the show. We're getting here. We've been an hour, man. I just really appreciate you. You know I love you, my friend. Such a great dude. I appreciate you. I really do. We started doing a thing called Champaign Toast, right? Where we're going to give a toast to an offensive and defensive player or coach or whoever. I mean, heck, we could give it to special teams. We haven't done that yet. Would you want to participate in this one with us tonight?
Sure.
So instead of doing offense and defense, you just want to pick one since we've got Riley tonight, Kevin?
That's fair.
You know what? And since
make sure you tweet that out, Ryan. Make sure you tweet it out after the show.
Yeah, I will. I'll do hashtag toast of Champaign.
There you go.
I saw what you did last week, Kev. I like it. We'll let you start, Riley, because I think that's fair. Because I don't want it to be like, well, me and him
on the spot.
Yeah, me and him take the most obvious ones, and then we're like, come on, dude. What's your
you guys go first. I could go different. Let me just see how you guys do it.
Okay. All right. So you want me to go first, Kev?
Sure. Right on, brother.
Okay.
Just don't take mine.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to do my toast of Champaign is going to be it could be for Aaron Henry. He got it last week. I'm just going for the Illinois defense.
Okay. Fair enough.
And let me just tell you, how much were they on the field in that second half? And they held their own. They battled their tails off. I was beyond proud of them. Like, you could tell how exhausted they were. But they would not just back down, man. Like, they forced several, two field goal attempts. Then they actually got a fourth and down stop on right around the red zone, around the 20. Miles Scott had a huge tackle there. One-on-one.
Great play.
Yeah. Rosiak came off the edge. There was another one. Torrey Cox had a beautiful one-on-one tackle. Was that on Katron Allen or Singleton?
I don't. Yeah, I think it was on Singleton. It was a hell of a play.
But it was because think about that. If he misses that tackle,
could be six.
It's green. So the defense played their tails off, and I would say undermanned. I will say that. I think the depth is still a little worrisome, but they showed me a lot that they're not going to back down, and they kept Illinois in the game. So my toast is going to the entire Illinois defense.
Right on. I dig it. I'm gonna stay on that side of the ball. Actually, no, I'm not. My toast of Champagne go to Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, Colin Morikawa, and Keegan Bradley with how they performed at the President's Cup. No, I'm teasing. Like I was just doing final thoughts, talk about golf. I was really excited about how we performed, especially today. No, Gabe Yakis, man. I thought Gabe Yakis was a guy, literally you can't watch that game and not realize that Penn State was a more talented team. And I think 17 played like a guy that could have played for either side of the ball. I think Coleman did as well. I think some other guys did. I thought Gabe Yakis was a disruptor all night long. I thought he played really well. I thought he held the point in the run game. I thought he got some pressure on the quarterback, on Aller. I just think that Gabe Yakis is continuing to show week after week that he probably is a day 2 draft pick, in my opinion. And obviously that all changes when you get an invite to the combine. If that big boy goes and runs a 4.52, right? Or sub that. I don't know if he's got that kind of wheels, but like that's one of those things. That's why Casey. That's why Tip Ryman went in the 4th round, because of his 40 time, right? And that shit matters. But what Gabe Yakis is doing on the field right now is Sakis, as I've affectionately called him for 3 years now, was really impressive, and he gets my champagne toast.
All right. Mine's going to be pretty specific. Well, I'll, as an offensive guy, not going to go Luke, too obvious. I'm going to go Pat Bryant. I'm going to go from a leadership standpoint and team captain standpoint. I think one play that really stood out to me was when Luke pulled the ball down and ran for like 16. It was a great decision by him. But Pat ran, and with the blindside block, as it is these days, when he ran, threw his hands up, laid that key block, and allowed him to get 8 more yards. But reminding me of a guy I played with, Miles Osei, who was just like probably one of the best leaders I've ever been around. He didn't have a ton of catches, but worked the tail off. And I think Pat Bryant is you could see how he's blocking. He blocks his tail off for every play. And, receivers have the persona that exactly. So to get receivers that have had such a great year like he has, wasn't getting as many looks as he normally does, but he was also going up against a future NFL player over there, and it was just really cool to see. And I just never talked to him and have only heard great things about him in the locker room. Everyone loves him, so seeing that play stood out to me, and obviously had a couple big catches, and was kind of carrying the pile when he was catching the ball. He was getting some yards after contact. I was like, don't fumble, just hold on to it. But that's cool to see. And little plays like that kind of make me pull for that particular player a little bit more than usual. So toast to you, PB13.
Working on getting Patty Bryan on the show, so I like the toast.
Tell him I say what's up.
I will. I might even have you on the show when he comes on and be like, we have a big fan of yours, Pat.
Yeah.
He'd be like, fellow Illini football player brethren.
Yeah. They'll say who?
Right.
And then guess what? I'm going to pull up your highlight clip and have it ready. I'm like, this dude.
Hey, you can fit that 5-second clip in your show.
No, we need more than that just for the Northwestern game. That's not true.
Nah, dude, Charleston Southern, dude. We got it. Like, just
hell yeah. I'd be like,
5 touchdowns, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Tool with the spine.
Was it 344?
333.
Which is five's like second in school history, right? For most touchdown passes. Okay.
Should be up there.
By the way,
you're in the record book, my friend. It's right there.
Yeah.
I know that damn record book, unfortunately. I know it like the back of my hand.
Are you still wanting to do final thought, Kev?
Oh, we can. I love the shout out, and I love the shout out for a multitude of reasons. Miles Osei is
football coach, right? Isn't he a coach somewhere?
He's at Kankakee now.
Okay.
I just loved the way that guy played football. Like, recruited as a quarterback, came in, played receiver, did all the dirty work, man. I loved watching that. 16, right?
Yeah, and then switched to 8.
Yeah, 8.
But he had one of the coolest plays I've ever seen, and it was 2012, Penn State at home. I don't think it was a close game, but we threw an interception. We're going into the horseshoe. Threw an interception like on the goal line, and Miles in the back of the end zone, and their linebacker Mauta or whatever. Mauta picked it off. He was like their stud linebacker. Picked off. Miles ran him down from 110 yards in the end zone, tackled him at like the 3-yard line at the other end of the field. Ran out of bounds, got blocked 3 or 4 times. It was just the coolest
effort.
Like I said, yeah, exactly. And that's just like that no offense to Pat Bryant, Miles' play is 10 times cooler than your block. But those are the plays that stick out. And I think you can see the mindset of someone when those plays happen because, they say, the film don't lie, and you can always see someone's effort. And those are things you can always control. And Miles was someone that I always admired because he just had the best effort.
Well, that's like Terry Hawthorne running that guy down in was it 10, 9?
Yeah.
I don't remember. And we flipped the script. Like it saved a touchdown in the entire game. We then held them at the goal line stand and like just completely flipped the game against Michigan at home for the only win we've had against Michigan at home since 1983, still to this day.
And that changes in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
20 days. And by the way, give yourself some credit, Riley. I've already told you this. You were a part of the reason that Illinois beat Penn State. You beat James Franklin, man.
I was there.
We took it to him.
David Reisner, dude. David Reisner. I was worried about that kick, too. I actually went back and enjoyed the game on YouTube a couple times.
16-14? 16-13, something like that.
Barn burner, baby.
There was about 4,000 people there, but I was one of them.
I didn't leave. I know I didn't leave early. I was there.
Senior day. Yeah, we probably saw you at Cam's after.
You didn't see me at Cam's.
You're a Joe's guy.
You got to – no, dude, I was too old for that shit back then. But at that time, dude. The guys who saw me at Cam's were like Jameer Kapalia, Chris Gandy, Robert Archibald, that area. I ranked Josh Whitman way back in the day.
Am I the only Legends guy here? I like Legends.
Fridays for fish sandwiches.
Is Legends really not that? I don't know why. Anytime I go over there, I enjoy it. But I'm like, I don't ever hear anybody say anything about it. So
hey, Riley said we got to go to Brothers, so I might be going to Brothers when I come back for the Michigan game.
Brothers it's like a college Buffalo Wild Wings. It was awesome.
As we get to final thoughts, you can think about that for a sec, Kev. But how about the freaking blocking on that Josh McCray screen pass? Like, how beautiful.
Pat Bryant. Well, Pat Bryant was in on that, wasn't he?
It wasn't just Pat, though. There was another one in there. How, like, perfectly carved out two
I think
guys.
it was
Dixon, Colin Dixon. Like, because I was thinking this loop-de-ass, screen pass and take a long time to develop. They're going to knock him off here in a couple seconds. It was like the seas parted, right? It was like Moses.
I just feel like the teams that I cheer for, although the Chiefs more so, but like any team that I cheer for, that play never works. 3rd and 6, like the screen on 3rd and 20, like
one, yeah,
like doesn't work. And I was just like, all right, maybe this is our game.
Yeah. Well, and second week in a row, we've had a running back with a one-handed catch. Fagan would have been my champagne toast on offense if I had one.
Fagan had a big 40-yard run. He had a big.
Kid runs hard every time, every play.
Yeah, you just got to give him 3 yards to get going. I mean, he's literally Derrick Henry. Like the only reason you stop Derrick Henry is you get him at the line
before he gets going.
Yep, that initial burst. And that's one thing I know they're probably trying to work on, but you never know. He's so big and strong and muscly. He may never get that, like that first initial 2 yards where he can just hit that.
We don't need to talk about Derrick Henry as a guy who had the over 46.5 tonight, but that's okay. All
right. So, Kev, we'll do real quick final thoughts. I think we already know what you're going to say, and that's what
I already said it. Super excited about what happened at the President's Cup, but that's beside the point. I'm going to say this next Sunday night as well. Go buy tickets. Go support this team. Sell out Memorial Stadium for the rest of the season. This is a football team that's worth investing in. This is not the same old Illinois. Same old Illinois. We're all shaking our heads here. Same old Illinois, outmanned, outgained like that. Would have lost 38-7, not 21-7. But this team has a belief in self. This team has really competent coaches on both sides of the ball. This team is worth investing in. This team is worth you buying a ticket and going and watching Illinois play Purdue. We need to beat the Boilermakers. We owe it to them. They've been a thorn in our side for a long time. They somewhat wrecked the 2022 season for us. That wasn't passive influence, by the way. it was an awful windy day that ruined that. But this is actually, I think the Purdue game would be a lot of fun for fans, because I think this is a game we can go out there and just pound the freaking rock on them and rip off some 30, 40, 60-yard touchdown runs against them. And that's always fun for the fans to see. I don't know. Our longest touchdown play of the year, I think, is Malik Elsie's touchdown against Eastern. So buy your ticket, support this team. This team is worth every investment. And then come out to our tailgate in a couple weeks.
True. So just I think that's really all that needs to be said, is that this team here, there are no moral victories in football, and they don't need to really be after this. But I think where Illinois is now, you're ranked. You get a bye week to get healthy, to get right, and to focus on 2 huge home games. And beating Purdue is huge in that process to set up a possible, top 20 versus top 10 Michigan team. I mean, let's think about this. Could it set up any better than that? Isn't that what we would have wanted? Like, let's be ranked. Let's have some momentum. Let's have a sellout. And can we get Michigan to be top 10 and beatable? Like,
the only thing that could work out better is if Alabama didn't play Tennessee and Georgia didn't play Texas on the same day.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. This schedule just. Why couldn't we be playing Michigan this weekend? Because we got to get our picks ready for Fade the Deuce, and the best game on the schedule is Missouri at A&M. Like, I mean, what?
Yeah, true. So, if anybody watching this or listening, if you haven't gone to a game yet, go to Purdue, because Michigan's already. We're not worried about that game. We know it's already going to be
sellout. Dude, there's very few tickets left already.
Yeah, so go to Purdue and believe in the team, because I'm going to tell you what, these guys they give it everything they got. And Riley, I know you got to see some pretty packed games, but there was quite a bit of games. As a player, how much does that affect?
Yeah, that's a great question.
How much does that affect you to go out there knowing you're putting your body on the line, and yeah, you signed up for it, but to know that 4,000, 5,000 people showed up, like, does that affect you mentally?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you run out to the coolest thing is you didn't happen too often with the packed stadium when I was playing.
But that Minnesota game was a pretty.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Like,
you got Arizona State.
Yep. Yeah. Even that Ohio State game that year, Stripe Stadium, that was pretty good turnout. But it's cool. You go in, I would say, I don't know, 15 minutes left on the clock, and then it's probably fans will start to roll in. But then when you run out of the tunnel and it's packed, that's the feeling that you can't recreate, right? You run out of the tunnel, you run out of the smoke, and you look around the stands and there's no seats left. It definitely helps with the motivation. It's the third down stops, that little extra motivation that you can get, the little extra adrenaline to fire off the ball, and I think it means the world. So let's pack Memorial and keep it rolling, and obviously the players have been working hard to put a good product on the field over the years to give the fans something to cheer for, and I think Bielema has been able to get a consistent product on the field that fans can be proud to root for.
One last question for you, my friend. Toughest environment you played in?
Ohio State.
Yeah, that place is the way how vertical the stadium sits.
It's so high. Yeah, I mean they beat the brakes off of us, but it was their homecoming, so it was nuts
I remember that game. Mikey Dudek had a big catch and run, didn't he?
Yeah, honestly, we were kind of driving on him, and my dear friend, I hit him right in between the sticks on his jersey, popped up in the air, interception. Then we drove down. We got a illegal high-low block. Actually tore Teddy Karras's ACL on that play. I think I had just thrown a slant to Malik Turner to get the ball on the 2-yard line. So, I mean, that was kind of our story.
Was that 14?
Yeah.
And just to think about that just even
Won the
I
national
know
championship.
you can talk about this forever. Those are stories, man, that not many people have. Like you played in the horseshoe. You know what I'm saying? You beat James Franklin. Don't ever discredit what you did, man, because there's a lot of people who'll never get to experience any of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell my kids I beat Harbaugh, I beat Saban. You know.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
They don't need to know.
They don't need to know that. Just tell them you beat James Franklin. That got
Yeah,
the ball going.
my nasty Achilles scar that happened in the big house, not on 3-on-3 basketball for my company.
3-on-3 basketball. Hey, if you're still any good, you could try out for the Olympics 3-on-3.
Yeah,
dude, my boy can play.
I heard you can ball.
Dude. Riley can hoop, man. By the way, Kevin says hi, and he says he misses you. I had dinner with him a couple weeks ago. He's like, "Dude, you still talk to Riley?" I was like, "I do." He's like, "Tell him I said hi and I miss him." So,
yeah, please tell him hello. He and I used to battle at those two competitive dudes.
Saturday morning basketball, baby.
Yep, I miss it.
Well,
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah,
always a
I know
pleasure.
it's late. We all got to probably get up and work in the morning. So, but we appreciate you, Riley. We'll be back 2 nights for Fade the Deuce with Kevin and Matt McCumber. We'll see how good they did this week. And by the way, everyone, Illinois covered. I tried telling you. Everybody said Illinois, they're going to get trounced 3 touchdowns or more. Nope.
That was honestly one of those bets that I was like, is this too good to be true? Like, what do they know that we don't?
I wrote about that on I wrote about that on 200 columns and talked about it on the show. It seemed like a trap line big time.
Illinois 5-0 against the spread.
Against the spread, yes, we are. Yep.
Illinois is making money off Vegas, so there we go. Anyway, thanks again, Riley, and we'll be back next Sunday, and you can tune in Tuesday night for Fade the Deuce.